Red Dead Redemption 2 is Rockstar's most ambitious game to date. With nearly 20 years of experience and almost 30 games under its belt, it's clear that the studio is pulling from its rich history in order to make its biggest game yet. 8 Rockstar studios around the globe are putting bits and pieces of its history into this project, and based on what we've seen so far, it shows. Let's take a look back at some of Rockstar's biggest games from the last 15 years and see where they fit in with Red Dead Redemption 2.
Welcome home, Carl. Glad to be back. You haven't forgotten about us, have you, boy?
Hell no, Officer Tenpenny. I was just wondering what took y'all so long.
Get in the car.
Let's turn the clock back to 2004. Rachel got off the plane, we started stalking people we know, and we lost our lives to GTA San Andreas. Developed by Rockstar North, it was the biggest game the studio had ever shipped. Alongside a sprawling map with 3 distinct cities, San Andreas allowed you to morph CJ's body as you played. For example, if you gorged yourself on meat stacks at Burger Shot, CJ would start to get plump. Conversely, if you ate healthy and hit the gym every now and then, CJ would get buff. If only it were that easy in real life. An in-shape CJ would garner more respect and have greater sex appeal, while a chubbier CJ would have less luck with the ladies. As unique as this mechanic was at the time, Rockstar has not revisited it in any subsequent games until now. Like CJ, Arthur Morgan will change and evolve depending on how you play. Your beard and hair will grow over time if you don't get a trim. You can even make yourself look sharp by slicking that do back. If you overindulge, Arthur will put on some weight and even deride himself when he catches his reflection in mirrors. And if you don't clean yourself every now and then, Arthur will start to get stanky. NPCs and gang members will respond to Arthur differently depending on his hygiene and personal upkeep, even taking him aside to suggest that he should wash himself.
You've done a lot of naughty things, haven't you? Vandalism, graffiti, bad language, violent conduct, disrespecting staff. Oh, I'm scared of you, Hopkins.
Come on, give me a break.
Yes, I've never met a boy like you. Never in all my life. Hopkins, you're quite the nastiest little boy I have ever encountered. Tell me, why should I waste my time on you?
I don't know.
Because it's my calling. It's what I do. You excel at causing trouble, and I excel at fixing little boys like you.
Let's move on to one of my favorite Rockstar games of all time, Bully. Bully was a unique take on the open world genre. It was a much more intimate experience. Bulworth Academy and the surrounding areas were smaller than a city, there were no guns, and if you were a good student, you'd be spending a lot of time in class. But the scope, no matter how narrow it was compared to GTA, was the right fit. Bully became an influential addition to Rockstar's catalog in its own right. One of Bully's more interesting parts was the way you could interact with NPCs. You could greet them either positively or negatively. You could talk your way out of trouble and even apologize to someone you'd injured. While it wasn't as fleshed out as it could have been, it did allow you to respond to social situations in unique ways. Rockstar briefly revisited this mechanic in Red Dead Redemption, where a tap of a button allowed John to tip his hat to those around him. But now, Rockstar is expanding this mechanic in Red Dead Redemption 2. If you target an NPC without your gun equipped, you are given a handful of social interactions. You can greet, threaten, or rob an NPC. Depending on how they respond to Arthur, he can continue the conversation or just walk away. Based on the first several hours, this adds another layer of complexity to the world. NPCs feature a wider range of attitudes towards you. They aren't all either simply docile or shooting at you. You can defuse encounters in ways you see fit.
Two things. You remember, during the war, we did some bad things. And bad things happened to us. War is where the young and stupid are tricked by the old and bitter into killing each other. I was very young and very angry. Maybe that is no excuse. Roman? Roman! Are you sleeping, you fat fuck? Come on!
Grand Theft Auto 4 was a bit of a departure from previous entries in the franchise. Many of the features from San Andreas and Bully had disappeared, and the over-the-top tone was replaced with a more realistic one. Gone were the jetpacks and planes of San Andreas and the warm weather of Vice City. And while some players lamented the loss of this wackiness, Rockstar replaced it with something just as important: a strong sense of place. Liberty City felt alive. You could follow NPCs going about their business, and Nico could just hang out and befriend key characters. Since GTA 4, Rockstar has opted for the most part to create more grounded and realistic experiences that offer a strong sense of place. GTA 4's vision of a more realistic take on the open world genre can be seen in nearly all of Rockstar's subsequent games and is pushed much further than before in Red Dead Redemption 2.
For every cop, there's the case that makes you. Gives you that leg up. Gets you recognized as the shining new star in the squad. The case that you solve that shows that you have the gumption, the gung-ho, the get up and go to make you stand out from your average rank-and-file patrolman. This could be the one goal.
LA Noire was an unusual game for Rockstar and its developer Team Bondi. Combat was put on the back burner in favor of a slower-paced experience that asked you to carefully explore crime scenes, gather evidence, and question witnesses. Not everyone loved it, but to this day, there are still few games like it. One of the key mechanics is the ability to examine and manipulate objects found in the environment in order to piece together how the crime went down. LA Noire wasn't the first game to do this, and it certainly won't be the last, but it's the only Rockstar game to date that allowed you to interact with the environment to this extent. Red Dead Redemption 2 aims to do something similar. While you may not be solving cases, Arthur Morgan can pick up certain objects in the environment and examine them as you would in LA Noire. Instead of exploring the wild frontier, you might find yourself holed up in a house examining pictures and notes left by previous residents.
So I guess I'd become what they wanted me to be. A killer. Some rent-a-clown with a gun who puts holes in other bad guys. Well, that's what they had paid for, so in the end, that's what they got. Say what you want about Americans, but we understand capitalism. You buy yourself a product and you get what you pay for. And these chumps had paid for some angry gringo without the sensibilities to know right from wrong.
Max Payne 3 was a bold game. While I wouldn't call it realistic, I mean, come on, you hang from a helicopter and shoot rockets out of the sky, its mechanics make it feel like one of Rockstar's most grounded experiences to date. If Max takes a bullet to the head, he goes down immediately, even on the easiest difficulty. But what stood out to me more was how Rockstar handled weapon management. Max's inventory was limited. He could only carry as many guns as he had hands and holsters. This means that if you were using a pistol and had a rifle, Max would carry the rifle in his other hand. If you decided to dual-wield handguns, Max would toss his rifle on the ground. Even the reload animations were different depending on which weapons Max had in his hands. Rockstar's following game, GTA 5, may have brought back the infinite item pockets, but Red Dead Redemption 2 won't. Every weapon Arthur carries appears on his body. This means you can only take a few weapons with you into a firefight. The rest of your firearms are stored in your saddlebag. Weapon management isn't the only thing Red Dead Redemption 2 borrows from Max Payne 3. At the end of a firefight in Max Payne, you would be treated to a gruesome slow-motion kill cam. If you're into that sort of thing, you'll be happy to know that this feature is going to return in Red Dead Redemption 2, and it will change based on your morality. If you're a good cowboy, the kill cams will look more heroic, and if you're a villainous cowboy, they will be gorier.
If you want my advice, give this shit up. You work hard, screw over everybody that you love. Hurt, rob, kill indiscriminately, and maybe, just maybe if you're lucky, you become a 3-bit gangster. It's bullshit. Go to college. Then you're gonna rip people off and get paid for it. It's called capitalism.
To no one's surprise, Red Dead Redemption 2 expands on many of GTA 5's mechanics. A notable example is stat building. As you play GTA 5, Trevor, Michael, and Franklin's stats would increase in logical ways. If you swam a lot, your lung capacity would increase. If you drove everywhere, your driving skill would increase, and so on. Red Dead Redemption 2 takes a similar approach with Arthur's skills. The more you run, the better your stamina gets. The more you shoot, the more your sharpshooting increases. GTA 5 was also one of the first Rockstar games to support a first-person camera. It offered a radically different feel to GTA, and it's returning for Red Dead Redemption 2. If you want, you can play the whole game in first person from beginning to end. Red Dead Redemption 2 even allows you to tweak the first-person camera settings to your liking. But remember, just because you can't see Arthur doesn't mean that he shouldn't bathe every now and then. Grand Theft Auto Online is a different beast for Rockstar. While plenty of its games support multiplayer, GTA Online is far bigger and far deeper than anything the studio had released previously. It built off the open world structure of Red Dead Redemption's multiplayer. Players can purchase property, build out their garages with exotic supercars, and even start their own businesses. And of course, it has plenty of cooperative and competitive missions and game types to participate in. To this day, Rockstar still releases free updates for GTA Online, and it continues to be a massive source of income for the studio. We don't know much about Red Dead Redemption 2's online component yet, but it sounds like it will be building off GTA Online. According to an interview IGN did with a few of the devs, you will once again be able to explore a massive world as a cowboy or cowgirl and partake in different missions and competitive game modes. Unlike GTA Online, the slower pace of Red Dead Redemption 2 might elevate the more intimate moments that arise. Despite this, it sounds like fans of GTA Online should feel comfortable with Red Dead Online. It's worth noting that like GTA Online, it won't be available until a few weeks after Red Dead Redemption 2 launches. Rockstar has made a habit of creating ambitious games, and in almost all cases, succeeded in realizing its ambitions. Red Dead Redemption 2 is shaping up to be a celebration of that success, a game that leverages the design experience it has accumulated from developing games across multiple franchises and genres. If it all comes together as intended, it could be a landmark release in video game history, though it is missing one thing. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more Red Dead videos like this, come back every Friday to catch our new show, Quick Draw. We have a lot of in-depth videos planned for before and after the game comes out that you don't want to miss.
Force,